Hello. Happy Friday, everybody. I am delighted to be here today. Today, I'm going to talk to you about my personal sacred pause. I often talk about it in terms of what I did and what I didn't do, but I haven't very much gone into the details of my inner workings during the sacred pause. And that's what I wanted to do today. I wanted to talk about what was happening inside of me and how the rituals that are now part of the sacred pause experience that you can buy for $47 over on alexandrahughes.com/sacred pause experience. And I will put the link below. How these 4 rituals evolved, how they were born, evolved, and came to be what they are for you today. So the sacred pause experience, my sacred pause experience, was born when I felt this very strong call to just stop doing a lot of what I was doing. And this happened in March, April of last year. I shut my business down and I really started going, obviously I've got 3 children and I manage, my husband started working from home, but I was the lead manager at that time. Now we share things more 50-50, but I was the lead home manager and family manager at that time. And so I was still doing all of that, but instead the energy that had gone to my business, that had gone external to producing and doing and ticking boxes and accomplishing, was now sort of being brought inwards. And I spent a lot of time resting. So I slept a lot. I spent a lot of time bathing. I have this fabulous tub and I was bathing in it. I spent a lot of time walking in nature. And I spent a lot of time in my garden and sitting under the frangipani tree out there, or lying on the grass, doing yoga. And I noticed that as I started to get used to this slower pace of life, as I started to, basically slow down and pause more often throughout my day and throughout my week, that my mind settled. My mind, the chatter, the monkey mind that's just going, it calmed. And at the same time, I was becoming more aware of it. And as it calmed, and I was able to sort of decipher through what had been a mental 24/7 chatter, as I was able to decipher through that, there was more spaciousness, there was more internal spaciousness, and I gained clarity. So there was this mental clarity gained. The head is fullness, started to feel spacious. I was able to come into this state of being, this sort of more Zen-like state more often. And this allowed me to get clearer on my priorities and to really focus down on what really needed doing. And I know that a lot of us, when, during the lockdowns, and some of us are still experiencing them, some of us are not, we were able to, or we were forced to see what was most important to us and just to let everything else go. And so, yes, that was part of the process. But another thing happened as well, and it is that my body calmed. And so through, my contact with nature, through the rest, through the bathing, my contact with water, and just the more being, the more resting and relaxing, through all of that, my body came to life again. And I started waking up in the mornings more energized than I ever had before. So I started to feel really alive again. So I had the mental clarity that was coming out of this experience, and I started to really feel kind of more revitalized, more alive. And then I started to hear sort of messages coming through through my body. My body was speaking to me, but also like sort of divine downloads, just messages around, what I should do. And while this was all happening to me, all this internal sort of recalibration, let's call it, or healing, let's call it. While all of that was happening, I was also feeling much more connected to the earth. So, hi, Emma. So I was feeling more clear in my mind, more focused, and hence more sort of productive. I was feeling more, energized in my body, healthy, and yeah, I think it's alive. Like there was this sort of joy and real kind of pleasure in being in my body that I hadn't experienced for a really long time. And then there was also the soul whispers that were coming at me that stopped being whispers after a while and just were downright like divine download instructions, which is really cool when you get to that place. So, and the divine connection to the earth, which was so beautiful, and to all the different elements. And so from sort of day one to maybe midway through, I was playing with ritual, particularly doing moon rituals or rituals, that were sort of tied up with my feminine cycle. And I started to sort of go deeper into my studies. So these were the divine downloads. They were inviting me to learn more, to explore more. I explored my maternal lineage. I explored my, and that led me to a course on Andean priestesshood. My grandmother is indigenous Quechua, so she's from the Bolivian Andes. And I decided that is something that I wanted to explore. I wanted to understand that more, that mystical world of priestesshood and how that existed, during the Incas and pre-Inca time. And so I was learning those teachings. And then later on, I stepped into an intuitive witch course that was led by an African-American woman living in, I think, either South or North Carolina. And so I started learning some of her approaches to witchcraft, and that was complementing the Andean priestesshood work that I was doing. And I learned, beyond quantum healing, which is another technique that basically takes you into a soul journey through you go into a state of hypnosis where your subconsciousness leads you on this journey and gives you answers to any questions that you may have. That's a whole other video, but you can check out testimonials on soul journeys with me, which have become a part of my business that I'm so passionate about, in other IGTVs. But all of that, the Andean priestesshood work, the intuitive witchcraft work, the beyond quantum healing soul journeying work, all of that was born during the sacred pause. All of that they were some of the breadcrumbs that landed in front of me that were non-negotiable, do this downloads, right? So I was gathering information without even knowing it. And over the course of a few months, I started to play with rituals that used bits and bobs from these different courses that I was taking, as well as the experiences that I had already, developed and was already using, the ritual experiences that I was already using in my bathing, in my walking, in my time in the garden. And so this is really sort of the birth of the sacred pause experience rituals. And over time, my rituals became more layered. And when I invited people to do the first sacred pause with me, which was I think it was a 7-day guided experience, I drew upon 4 of those rituals. And I wanted to make sure that they were adaptable. In other words, they met you where you were at, which all the 4 rituals do. And I wanted to, and I started noticing how, it wasn't my intention, but I noticed that each of them leaned into one of the 4 elements of nature, or in each element of nature is associated with one of the four phases of nature's cycle. So I want to explain a little bit of that to you before I jump into what the rituals look like today for you when you buy your Sacred Pause experience. Let's begin with explaining the cycle of nature. So everything around us that has life experiences the cycle of nature. I just call it the cycle, including us humans, and including the moon, including the earth's seasons, including the tree outside your house, including your pet, everything, everything. And it's very, very simple, really. The first is sort of birth and, you know, the early days of growth. And then it's that point of blossoming and peaking and blooming, and that, you know, when you're sort of at your peak, at the height of the mountain, and that is associated with summer energy or ovulation energy or the full moon, whereas the spring in the beginning is associated with the waxing moon, you know, just after the moon goes from the dark point all the way up to when it goes full. It's that phase of birth and planting the seeds and growth, that spring follicular energy. That's sort of the first. And then I already explained kind of that summer ovulation full moon energy. And then the third is the waning moon. So that's when, or the fall or the autumn energy, that's kind of when nature starts to recede, when the leaves start to fall, when the squirrels start to collect all the nuts in preparation for death, really, the resting phase of the life cycle. That when we kind of go inwards, when the ground looks barren, but it's not. Because there's lots of things happening underneath. And for a human, it's, you know, we're invited to hibernate. This is also associated with the bleeding phase of our cycle, whereas the fall and the autumn is associated with the luteal phase of our cycle. So during that winter phase, we're invited to go inwards. This is when our intuition is heightened, when we feel called to rest and just to listen and to tune in. And so those are the four phases. And what people often don't talk about is how each of those phases is also associated with an element. So the spring follicular waxing moon phase is associated with the element of air. And I love that because it is that time in maybe a project cycle of ideas and brainstorming and planning. So there's a lot of kind of cognitive mental energy which is associated with the element of air. So the thinking, the intention setting, and that is the first ritual. The first ritual in the Sacred Pause experience is the water alchemy intention setting ritual. And this is a ritual that is really, it's very, very beautiful. It combines breath work. So of course, even though it's called the water alchemy intention setting ritual, which I understand might be slightly confusing, we use water as a means of internalizing the intention. I don't want to give it all away, but water is what holds the energy of our thoughts and our intention. And that's why we use that component of the ritual. But the ritual really is centered around our thoughts and our ideas and the seed that we want to plant for our Sacred Pause experience. And it combines breath work, which brings in the air into our body, which in and of itself is calming and alchemizing, right? So we're bringing in that element of air into ourselves, and we're working with a visualization, and then we set that intention with the clear mind. The alchemy has helped us to clear our mind and to become very focused in our intention for the Sacred Pause rituals that we're going to do consecutively. So this particular ritual, the water alchemy intention setting ritual, is designed to help you calm your nervous system and to use that mental element of air to get crystal clear, on your ideas, and to bring them in through you and into your water, to set your bold, juicy, sacred pause intention. So that's what the first intention looks like. And it's associated with the first phase of the 4 phases of nature's cycle. The next ritual, which is associated with that second phase, which is all about summer and productivity and peaking and blossoming and, sort of being at that point, like I say, that point on the top of a mountain, that is associated with the element of fire. And the element of fire is so powerful because it's so transformative. What do people do with fires? They gather around and celebrate around a fire, and then they burn shit, right? So fire has huge transformational potential. And this particular ritual doesn't use fire per se, though I do invite you to light a candle should you have one, but it uses dance. So it uses an embodiment practice that turns the spark on inside of you so that the fire inside of you burns away what you don't need. In the sacred fire dance ritual that you get with the sacred pause experience, I guide you to access the fire that fuels your passion and your transformation. So it's really designed to help you do 2 things: to simultaneously celebrate what serves you and to release what doesn't serve you, right? To burn what doesn't serve you. And you do this in the most sensual and the most pleasurable and the most juicy way through dance. So that is a ritual that I'm really excited about. And it leads beautifully into the next ritual, which is associated with the, let me see if I can find my notes here. It's associated with the autumn or the fall. It's associated with the element of water. So when we think about, the autumn and the fall and the kind of, as we're approaching winter, we're finished our project has been presented. It's, that the full moon has come and gone. It's time for the moon to wane. It's time for us to tick all the boxes off and wrap things up. It's time for us to reflect on and learn from our experience. It's time for us to maybe tie up all those loose ends. That's the kind of energy we're going. So it's an energy of cleansing. It's an energy of release. It's an energy of letting go and finishing and wrapping things up. And water also happens to be associated with emotion. And so the sacred bathing ritual, which is the 3rd of the 4 rituals that you get when you join the sacred pause experience, is all about harnessing the fluid magic of water to help you to do some emotional cleansing while also loving up your body. So this ritual has the potential to really transform your relationship with your body. And some of the women who have done this ritual as part of the sacred pause experience have told me that it's a total and complete game changer for them, because it invites you to quite literally cleanse all those emotions that have contributed to or are part of the not so healthy, loving relationship you might have with our bodies. Women have very complicated relationships with their bodies. Thank you, patriarchy. So this is really very special ritual that I am particularly excited about sharing with you, because it has that potential to transform your relationship with your body. And at the same time, I mean, in addition to that, it's relaxing and pleasurable, but it also invites you to release all other sort of emotions and energies that aren't serving you. Very much like, a baptism. You step into the bathing ritual as one woman and then you step out as another. So that's really beautiful. And then the final ritual that you receive as part of your sacred pause experience is the sacred earth grounding ritual. And of course, the fourth element is earth. And so here, and earth and winter, which is associated with winter, which is associated with the bleeding phase of your cycle. It's associated with, resting and grounding and going inwards, hibernating, listening to your intuition, hearing the voice of your soul. That is that ritual I designed to deeply connect you with your body and your body with the earth. So this is a ritual where basically all you have to do is lie down and I guide you through the most delicious body scan and visualization that invites you to feel the support of Mother Earth and your intimate connection with her. So this ritual really leaves you, I mean, if not completely asleep, I'm often asleep by the end of it. It definitely leaves you feeling safe and supported and super relaxed. So that is the final of the 4 rituals. And you can see how when used sequentially, and you don't have to use them sequentially, you can just use them whenever whenever you feel inspired to use them, or whenever you're going to have a bath, or whenever you're going to hang out in the garden and you just want to lie down. Or when you're feeling tired. The earth grounding ritual is an excellent one to do when you're feeling tired, or when you want to set an intention because you've got an important meeting, or these rituals you can use at any time. And if you choose to use them sequentially, they build upon one another. And at the end, once you've completed your first round of the 4 rituals, you will get an email from me inviting you to join me and all other Sacred Pause alumni to come together in circle and to talk about ways that you can use them in alignment with the cycles in our world. So the natural cycle. So really here, I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to teach you. You're going to walk away with the knowledge and the skills that you need to align these rituals with the moon cycles, your feminine cycles, the seasons, even the circadian rhythms, so that you can time them in a way that you're harnessing those energies to support you in whatever endeavors that you have going on. And we can talk, these can be, you can do intention setting for a project you've got going on for work, or for a new relationship that that you want to set an intention with. Maybe it's a work relationship, maybe it's a friendship relationship. The bathing ritual, maybe you're sick and tired of feeling a particular way towards yourself or about a certain project, or you're tired of a particular kind of energy or thought pattern. Cleanse it out with the sacred bathing ritual. Or maybe you're feeling like you don't have enough juiciness in your life, that you've lost connection with the fire inside of you. Sacred fire dance ritual. That's one that is super to do under the full moon and feels fabulous when you're ovulating, for instance. And the grounding ritual, highly recommended when you're bleeding or under the dark moon. So you can see how you can use them however you want, but should you choose to take it one step deeper and support your personal transformation, your soul growth, your intentionality and the productivity and effectiveness of projects that you have going on, you can use them in all these different ways, whenever and however you need. And I invite you to use them in a way that harnesses the cosmic powers and energies around us. So that happens after you complete your 4 rituals, and in our full moon circle, which is also going to be super fun, and where I will also share a full moon ritual with you, which we will all do together. So I'm really excited about that piece of the puzzle. So in addition to the 4 rituals and the live full moon gathering with me, you're also going to get a do not disturb poster, which you can put on the door between you and your sacred pause ritual and the little people or your partner that need to learn what do not disturb means, right? You're also going to get some very pretty sacred pause smartphone wallpaper that you can put on your phone. I can't show you mine because I'm videotaping myself with it right now, but that you can put on your phone to remind you of the value of your sacred pause experience, and to remind you that this is something that you've invested in and that you're committed to, and that it's a revolutionary act, and an act that's going to just make you feel so much better and be the change that you want to see in the world. So there's that. And then you're also going to get a mantras cheat sheet. So these are the mantras that will support you to honor your sacred pause, like to honor your self-worth and to remind yourself that you are worth the sacred time and the sacred space that you've just invested in. So I have tried to think about the things that get in the way of us honoring time for ourselves, sacred time for ourselves, and bundled it up together in a way that will make sure that you can honor this right now until May 17th, $47 investment. If you are somebody who has an extra difficult time with boundaries, and that's me, I've also created, and this is possibly a slight projection on my part, but I've also created a beautiful boundaries support kit, which is made up of a very simple checklist that you will go through to make sure that you've got everything set up so that you are honoring your sacred pause boundaries, and a script that you can memorize, though I suggest you personalize it when you're speaking to whoever you need to help you honor it. So if you need to set some boundaries with someone, or you need to ask someone to help you to honor your boundaries, like your partner, for instance, I've got you covered. I've got a script. You just need to have a look at it, memorize it, or print it out and take it to that conversation and have that conversation so that you can set that time aside and make sure that the do not disturb poster is seen and honored. So that's what you get for $47. It's such a great deal, and I'm really excited to be sharing it with you. Hi, Crystal. I'm really excited to be sharing it with you. 4 sacred rituals: the water alchemy intention setting ritual, your fire dance ritual, your sacred bathing ritual, and your sacred grounding ritual. I'm going to put a post in my Instagram feed so you can see, what you can see what they're all about. So you can have a look at that later. DM me if you have any questions. I am really excited about this product because it's so simple, yet so profound. Let me know. Let me know how it goes for you. If you have any questions after going to alexandrahughes.com/sacred pause experience, I'll put the link in the description to this video. Then send me a message on Instagram, on Facebook, to my email address, alex@inessencecoaching.com. I'm really excited to hear feedback. I'm really excited to start a conversation about the value of the sacred pause and our experience pausing. And that's what I'm going to be talking about tomorrow on Instagram. I'm going to be and on Facebook. And this may eventually get to YouTube too, but that is what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about how we have been brainwashed to believe that the solution to our success is doing more and being more. When in fact the truth is that it is often slowing down and pausing and stepping into our wisdom so that the steps that we take moving forward are what are aligned with our souls and are more conscious. So that's what I'm going to be. That's the juicy stuff that I'm going to be talking about tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed today's video and I look forward to talking tomorrow. Bye.